What's going on? Yeah, so this is the Intentional Truth podcast. Our first ever episode. Hope it goes well. You know what you need to do. You need to just subscribe, click that button, like, and share. The man I'm with today, I don't need to introduce him. Introduce yourself, sir.
I go by the name Tebby Oo. That's basically my name on all my social media platforms here. Otherwise, I'm just the guy that you see on a regular day. I would like to believe I'm a regular guy in this complicated life.
All right.
What up?
By the way, this is a good friend of mine. And Ronald music at Tebby Oo, the guy. Remember, you're a very intentional man.
Uh-huh.
Now, two things that you are very intentional about. Two things in your life that you're like, these two things I'm very intentional about.
I think, I don't know if in that order or what. You know, when you grow up, there are things that you discover. When you find, there's something that I've discovered of late that I think has been my mistake my entire life, that I could never pour out of an empty cup.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I intentionally do is to take care of myself. That if I cannot take care of myself mentally, physically, psychologically, if I cannot take care of myself, it does not matter how much I work for the people around me, they are still going to lose me. Whether they lose me through death or they lose me through mental breakdown, where I cannot, either way, in both circumstances, I will not be able to provide for them to the best of my ability, because I would have not, in the first place, taken care of this person, made sure that this person is actually happy before he can actually make other people happy. Because sometimes you're trying to make people happy, you work so hard to make people happy, and they are not happy, and you end up in a situation where you're like, but I did everything for you. You understand?
Yeah.
Like it's like we grew up in our era where our parents literally did everything to make us happy, but at the end of the day, they were not happy. We are not happy of how they raised us.
That is why I debate this word a lot. Happy. I don't think people should be happy in life.
Okay.
I think happiness, if you center your life around being happy, it's a gateway to depression. It's a gateway to sadness. Because whatever makes you happy, if something makes you happy the first time, it means it hits the ceiling, it excites you. Now, the only way that thing can go, it's downward. It's downward for two reasons. One reason could be you keep doing something over and over, you get used to it, and to a point it doesn't excite you. It doesn't excite you anymore. It starts boring. Or you utilize so much of your resources to try and keep that high. You summon everything you have to exist in that excitement, in that moment. But nature doesn't allow that. Nature doesn't agree with that. time moves, things move. You know what I mean? And eventually, whatever you're trying to maintain as your happy spot,
as your high,
it will come down.
Yeah, but for as much as I agree with that statement, there's I think when I talk about happiness, I talk about contentment.
All right.
To be content, to be satisfied with who I am, regardless of what's happening around me. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, if you are content, whether there's a storm,
that's it, leg, storm, whatever,
you are content.
You're able to see.
You are comfortable in who you are. That you know that everything that happens around you does not define you. That you have found yourself, and in the space that you are in, you are content. So even sometimes you do certain things, and somebody from outside who does not understand who you are, they will start accusing, which is generally what happens. People will accuse you.
Yeah.
You understand? But what people say about you, the age that I am,
should not bother you. So basically, this is where how I look at happiness and joy, because I feel like people should rather choose to be joyous, to enjoy their life, to choose things that, whether in a bad day or in a good way, they still enjoy being in that. They're content.
Yeah.
It's like discipline and motivation. For me, happiness is like motivation. It's a short-lived thing, and joy is like discipline. You know you gotta do this thing, and the thing about discipline is like you don't want to go to gym. You feel, today I don't want to wake up. I don't want to do this, but you push yourself because you know you gotta do it, and then you get to gym. You push your first 5-10 minutes, and then you start to enjoy it. Then you're like, okay, it's a good thing I forced myself to come here. So that's how I look at joy and happiness. But if everything depends on motivation, what happens when you're not motivated? Just like happiness. If everything hangs on happiness, what happens the day you're not happy? Everything else stops.
Yeah. I guess that's how people end up getting addicted to drugs.
Exactly. And not only to drugs, but to people as well.
To toxic situations.
Because they are trying to extract the first moment you met, or a particular feeling that they had at a particular time.
They are trying to stay there.
They're trying to stay there. And they start sucking the life out of this person, trying to demand that moment. But it's gone. Time doesn't hit the same spot twice.
And
it goes. It goes. So that's how I feel about happiness. Also, a responsibility. I don't think people who chase happiness would be responsible, because they would choose what makes them happy than choose a responsible thing.
But you know, that's exactly where I am. I'm chasing contentment. I want to go back to that word happiness. That's exactly where I am.
Yeah.
That for a longest time I've been choosing responsibility. You understand? And most of the time when you choose a responsibility, and I'll say this for a first graduate of the family, a middle child, or a responsible, or a first breadwinner in the family, those people are always chasing everyone else's happiness except theirs. So you would rather see yourself, you would rather see yourself because then somebody trying to satisfy somebody or people who are dependent on you. Whereas when the time comes for those people to do the same for you, even in the smallest of things, they don't choose they would choose themselves.
So choose
Yeah,
yourself.
So I've learned that I've traveled the journey of being the guy who wants everyone around them to be happy. But I've reached a place where I'm like, but am I okay myself first? You understand?
Yeah. Are you comfortable with
I'm
that? Are you
comfortable.
content?
You understand? Am I content with that? When I help you, do I then get the satisfaction out of it because that's what I like to do? Or do I do it and then in the back of my mind remember, what kind of this person would never do this for me if the tables were turned. So because I've learned that, then I've come to a point where I'm like, let me sort out myself first, and then everything else and everyone else will then come second. So that's the point. I'm actually reaching a place where I'm like, I'm happy first, and happy not being the high, happy being
you're in a joyful space.
Tranquility. Like I'm happy within, I'm content with myself.
With it. But now here's another perspective to that. You're a family man, and there are children involved. There's a wife involved.
Now that's exactly where we get to my second intention. What am I intentional about? The first one is to make sure that I'm okay. The second one is to make sure that I raise a family. And
how does that impede on your happiness, on your choice to be content?
It doesn't really, because that's my second intention. You understand? So everything that I do regarding the families, because there are people who like, I don't want to get married. I don't want this. Some of us actually had a dream of being married, of raising a family. So anything that comes with a family
falls within the intentional journey, the intentional choice.
Yes.
So it's basically just in your channel of being joyous.
It does not matter how difficult it is. It's like being in school.
Enjoy doing it.
Yeah, it's like being in school. When you are tested, it's painful, but it's on your way to get a degree. It's on your way to get the PhD. You enjoy it. You understand? You must take it, whether you enjoy it or not. You must take it. You must be content with it, because that's part of the journey. So whatever comes with, I'm actually raising kids for the next generation. You understand? So anything that comes with that is intentional from my side. You understand? Obviously, when you are married, you are married by yourself. It's, you would know that sometimes you just want to go this direction, and then because you are going with somebody, they tell you no, that's not. You're like, no, we can't take that one. And then like, nah, this is what we are taking. Yeah. And then you have to allow them to travel that, but then they can come back to the journey and say, no, you were right, this is what we're trying. So unfortunately, those are the things that you have to go through when trying to raise the next generation. And also about raising the next generation is that, I don't know, I mean, there are things that we're not willing to do that our parents did. Those things were painful to us, but there's a reason we are here.
Yeah, they shaped
us. And so somebody said our generation is raising themselves. You know, that we're trying to correct the mistakes of our parents in parenting, but we are not willing to take the responsibilities that our parents gave us through those difficult times.
You have to repeat that.
So we are trying to correct the mistakes that our parents did in their parenting, but we're not willing to take the responsibilities that they took or they taught us through those mistakes that they did when they were raising us. You understand? Because now you have kids that are not, for lack of a better example, you don't hate your kids, you understand? So your kid, how much for this thing, they because there's no consequences. They don't understand that things in
because
life.
in their head, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna repeat it, and it's gonna be the same thing over and over and over.
They don't understand the concept of it's problematic because you don't understand the concept of consequences. Because now, if you understood the concept of consequences, then you wouldn't try things that you're not supposed to try. You wouldn't do things and think life will not punish you. You understand? Because sometimes when you are young and your parents punish you, they punish you so that life does not become harsh.
That harsh.
You understand? So our kids will not be punished by us, but life does not work like that. Life will definitely punish them.
You know, I usually say to people, almost 97% of our problems, they are consequential and not situational per se. And situational meaning, like, we could be sitting like this, and an aeroplane flies over, runs out of fuel, or some mechanical problem happens, and it drops in the middle of the studio. You break your leg, or that's situational. You almost didn't have anything to do with a situation. But consequential means every single decision we have made at a particular time, that could be 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 1 week ago, 10 years ago, catches up. And that's exactly how the universe works. Every time you make a bad choice or you make a bad decision, at some point in that bandwagon, you're gonna deal with the consequences of it. And because we don't understand that concept, we make a lot of bad decisions. And
you think they'll just
they'll just vanish into the air. Why? Because we're thinking our youth, like just being young, it's a license for you to be reckless. Just being young, it's a license to explore very dangerous things and still not expect consequences for that.
But you see now, maybe consequences is yeah, maybe that's exactly where our problem is. We just think things happen
by coincidence.
You know, they separately happen to because they are then you don't understand that something that a choice that you made when you were 16 affects your life when you are 40.
Exactly.
You understand? Because simple thing, sometimes we talk about people who went to prison or something like it. It looks like it's an extreme example, but simple things, that choices that you make when you are 16, if you can talk to anybody and you listen to them, the choices that they made when they were young,
brought them to
where they are
today. At 35 years, at 40 years old.
The decision, whether you have a DD or you have a R. Kelly, the decision, what affects them, when you see, I don't know, it's just that I don't like thinking about these things.
The first time you decided, what I'm gonna do this, when you
because
know he was wrong,
he is being punished for something that he did probably when he was 28 or 35, when he was young, famous and strong. He's 70 now. He has to go to his 75 or however old he is. He has to go to prison for something that he did. The choice that he made when he was. That's what we talk about when we say consequences.
You know, I always say to people, like, decisions they grow like everything else in life grows.
Whatever you plant grows.
It grows. You do something today, for lack of better examples, you lie. You know it's a bad thing to lie, but you lie. And then you feel that you've gotten away with it. That lie, it's small, you can hide it behind this cup. But as time goes on, you keep maintaining this lie. It grows. It's going to get to a point where it's just too big enough to hide. You can't put it behind the wall. You can't put it behind. It's just that big enough. It grew with you because you consistently maintained it as well.
And talking about lies, one of the most difficult things to maintain is a lie. Because for you to maintain a lie, you have to lie. And you have to remember
what you said, the first lie.
you have to constantly remember what did I say exactly. Understand? And every time you are asked, you have to repeat it exactly. You have to remember it exactly the same way you had said it. Because if then you are asked anything about it, anything that you are asked about their life feels like an attack.
Yeah. Because then you have to fight with yourself to dig that into the level and say it the way you said it. And be as convincing as you was the first time you said it.
Now for you, instead of you doing that, you'd rather fight people who are asking you.
Why do you keep asking me like
I explained to you what why are you coming back and asking me the same thing how many times must I tell you? Instead of just saying, but my guy, I told you 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we move.
We move.
No.
Mm-hmm. Now, talking about being intentional about family, a marriage. Do you think that choosing a wife should be a taught skill?
Oh. It's not complete.
No, that question is complete. Do you think that choosing a wife should be a taught skill? Or should it just be a love thing?
I honestly think...
Like, take your son, for instance.
I honestly think...
What advice would you give it to?
I think we should bring back arranged marriage. That's just where let's part from there. Let's just part from there. Because, I'll tell you, as obviously, I'll always go back to our upbringing, especially the late 70s, 80s. There are a lot of, we took a lot of rights with the new government, with a new change of regime, or with a revised way of raising kids. We took a lot of rights and we left a lot of responsibilities behind. And I keep talking about these things. And I was lambasted the other day when I was talking about and it's just something that exists and it's in my language. I can't take it away. Because you grew up with the mother, you grew up with the uncles.
Yeah,
you know how those people handle problems. You understand? Now you have to take that and bring that in your family, and sometimes and not sometimes, all the time. When you marry into a family, you don't marry into, you marry their family.
You marry the entire family. You marry that entire behavior, that entire spirit.
There are things that
entire culture.
Do you understand? There are things that you pass to your kids not because you teach them, and our kids learn from us mostly from the things that we do, not the things that we say. You understand? So there are mannerisms that you pass to your kids. Unintentional, and those are the things that your kids will copy mostly. if your first instinct to anything is vulgar, if your first instinct to anything it's fight, if your first instinct to anything ke go ngala go dula le ngalellana mo ntlong e se mona le mosadi ba bana ba ithuta so seo. Yeah, there's a kid that started drinking when he was 12, I think 12, 13, you understand? I actually realized, oh, this is what happens because his father drinks, you understand? If you go to church, if you pray, when you have problems, your kids see you, and they are most likely to go pray
to
follow the same trade.
Yeah.
When they have problems. But when you have problems, your next thing is to drink. What do you think your kids are gonna do? Are gonna listen to you saying, when you have problems, pray. Marwa, now when you have problems, you drink. That means drinking solves problem. And because that's how it's the same trade. You know? So when you marry somebody, whether it's a man or a woman, how they react to life, it's the same way that they are going to teach your kids to react to life. So if you marry something that you don't like in terms of marriage, because we always like the looks, we always go for the looks. But in terms of manners, I think that's what we should marry. And that's why then our parents, that they old people used to choose for
the mannerism.
You know,
they were actually not marrying the girl, they were marrying the culture in their house.
Because they appreciated
how the child was raised and all of that stuff. But the reason why Manjita Manji have so many problems in their marriages today, it's because I can maybe change after marriage.
Bruh, she's not changing.
She's getting worse.
She's not changing. She's just waiting for you. Alright, let's go. Let's go. And you can ask a lot of married men. They saw flames after marriage. After marriage, it's like you are meeting a new person every day. You are just there like, hey, but who's this? Hey, but
this person in my house.
Hey, but this person will not every day. And when you can't stand. You understand? Like you are just sitting there. Maramuna unsia. Ula tafilwe ena sakafela sasitting ke bojana like what type of this after marriage you see a lot of things. That's why then you should marry the family. So if you know the family, if you know, unfortunately right now you marry go KZN or you marry go Kenya and those, but you should do a thorough investigation. There are things also when coming to marriage that you should be careful of.
Yeah.
There are hereditary diseases that comes with family. There are mental issues that comes with the family.
That's what I'm mostly scared of.
Yeah,
the mental
you don't know.
Because
you don't know. And this is no discrimination to people. You understand? This is no discrimination to people, but I would come also if unyetse motho le gore go ga bona go na le a history of mental health problems. Are you aware of those mental health problems? Are you willing to deal with those mental health issues? You understand? Because tomorrow now, the rate of divorce goes high because you didn't do your homework. You understand? And these people looks very beautiful, but at some point, if it's not her, it's her kids. You understand? There are people who have when we talk about me, well, my thing is I will talk about it the other day. Yeah. Who have deformities. You understand? Do you know that history? You understand? And how often does it happen in that family? You understand? So do your homework before you get married. We can't win by saying I choose it's about because But otherwise, see, if it was for me, we would choose for them. But I would say to the newer generation, do your homework.
So marriage should be a taught skill, like choosing a partner, choosing a wife, choosing a husband should be a taught skill.
Definitely.
It's not an emotional thing.
Definitely. We should bring back courting.
Yeah. Because
not do you hear what I'm saying?
Courting.
Courting.
Because that's a saying that says don't marry what you love. Love what you marry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people would automatically just think that you just should just marry and then start loving. No, it basically just says just because you feel a particular way about somebody, it does not mean that's the right person for you to marry. You need to check if all values align.
Use this head.
You understand?
Use the bigger head.
Yes, the bigger head.
Yes. This one. Not that other one does not help you.
Joe Biden once said, you see somebody long enough, you're bound to get a fly with him.
Mm.
So if you choose, when you choose to marry, don't be tickled by love at first sight, because that feeling is gonna change tomorrow sometime. Like happiness, the excitement is gonna spend time with that person, understand their thinking patterns, understand their responsible nature, understand, their resolutive patterns and everything. Eventually, you guys will develop a vision together where you both understand where you are going. You'd be able to match that vision and go to the same place. Now, when you marry just basically out of love, you find yourself in a situation where your wife is a Muslim, you're a Christian. She goes to the mosque, you go to church.
You fundamentally don't believe the same thing.
You don't believe in the same thing.
I'm saying this so that anyone who's listening must understand why you're making that example.
Yeah.
You fundamentally do not believe the same thing.
Things.
And no men who do not believe the same thing can work together like that.
It can't.
What you are trying to plan.
Career-wise, you know what I mean? You believe in something different, she believes in something different. Now you have to support something you don't believe in. She has to support something she doesn't believe in.
And they're going to fail you at some point.
You're
and they're not going to fail you because they are intentionally failing you. It's because they don't believe, they genuinely do not believe in what you're doing.
Like you guys don't share the vision. Your wife literally doesn't know where you are going.
She
doesn't see where you are going.
Believing, I think it's a far-fetched word. She doesn't see
where you go.
Because sometimes with believing or with dreaming, somebody has to see. You know, have to see things that are not physical.
Yeah, they have to envision it. They have to be in it. Spiritually, they have to be in it. Psychologically, they have to be in it. Emotionally, they have to be in it.
They have to be committed to this journey because of where it's taking them.
You understand?
And also where it's making them pass.
Also to know how to balance you. Because whether it's your vision and stuff, at some point it's gonna break you. And you need somebody in your corner who's going to be able to hold you up and say, we're still here, take a breather, let's go.
Yeah.
You don't need somebody who's gonna be like, I told you this thing is not gonna work, it's not working.
Because they're most likely, if they don't believe in what you believe in, as soon as that's the first thing they're gonna say.
They're waiting for it.
Yeah, waiting for it.
The other day I did I told you so. The other day I made a joke. I don't know if I was talking to you or somebody else. Like, The minute you get married, you're bringing an enemy into your house. Like you guys become enemies.
How so?
They're gonna kill me.
Partners are not gonna be enemies.
Because immediately this person has a particular idea in their head that they expect you to follow, or they expect you to understand some things they are not communicating with you. And because when you are doing something that's not bringing you into this idea, it's almost as if they're wishing for you to fail in there, so that you can have more time to focus here on what they want you to focus on. You are not home. This woman wants you to be home. She wants you to give her attention. She wants you to, but she still needs food. She still needs all of these things, to live in a good house, to drive a good car, to take her children into better schools and all of that stuff. But you can't go. You can't go to her.
But I think, I always say this, but having a wife or having a partner, okay, maybe for one man is different, but as a man, having a wife is like running away from your mom just to go get another one. Yeah, because think about your mom. Your mom's school is at 2. How's another one at 3? Our school is still at 2. There's a distance between here and the school.
And I got friends.
Yeah, I understand. I got friends. I was got this like a teacher who was talking to me after school. I had to finish some project before I came to the school. So got to got 2 and then got 2. I'm home. It doesn't make sense. But you realize after you marry, the same person will say to you, "Saluche is take a 5. It gets 7. Also, go back." Yeah, after 5 o'clock, then you have to. There are things that say long or when you are not seeing clients anymore, or there are projects that you didn't finish, so you have to do this extra work. You understand? So sometimes I just feel like you and just go bring a different one.
Yeah. But also, the fights. Do you genuinely feel like women fight for the right things, or men fight for the right things, family-wise, like marriage-wise?
It really depends. And it goes back to the question again. Do you marry a person, or do you marry where a person comes from? You understand? This is gonna get me into trouble. Somebody who is raised, and this is me, raised by a single mother. Somebody who was raised by both parents in the house have a better understanding of forming a family than the person who was raised by a single mother or single parent. You understand? And I'm saying this to say, if as a woman you were raised by a single parent, your mind, whether you like it or not, your mind tells you that your mother is a god. You understand, that your mom can do anything, and that she doesn't without a man. Therefore, you as a woman do not need a man. You understand?
Because sometimes it's an issue of you've never seen your mother love somebody, or your mother being loved by somebody.
Sometimes it's an issue that you have not seen your mom struggle with anything. I am nosy. So if you have to deal
conflict resolution between two, you haven't experienced that.
You understand? Now you have not seen your mom struggled because there was no man in the house. So in your mind, you say whether this guy is here or he's not here, I can manage.
Yeah,
I can manage. Whether I'm talking like my mom on raised it simple. And also you are taking your burdens when you were raised without your father. You want your kids to have the same problem. And this thing goes the same way for the male figures, the ones that were raised by single parents. I'm one of those. You know. So where you take feminine decisions in certain things, and you are not even aware that you are taking feminine decisions. Your marriage struggles because
you are not sure
when you are supposed to be a man, you are a woman.
Yeah.
You understand? You are reacting like a woman because all you know is the reaction of the woman that raised you. You understand? Now you are fighting with this woman that you have married because she's fighting with a woman in you.
You understand? Show up, like
you understand? And on her side, she's doing exactly what a woman is supposed to be doing. You are supposed to be doing what a man is supposed to do, but because all you know is how a woman reacts, you are reacting like another woman to her as a woman, and then she flips.
With it. She recognizes.
You know, she flips, and then there's an argument that lasts longer because there's no man in the house. You know, so sometimes these things, like they really have a long-lasting effect. You understand? A very long-lasting effect. So sometimes the conflicts in the house are roots of where we come from. You understand? They are roots of how and who raised us. Basically.
And the mental strength to survive or to manage a household as a man. At which point do you feel like I'm breaking, or do you just feel like I need to keep going? The reason why I'm asking this is because I talk to a lot of men about situations, and men, almost all of them, find themselves in a position where they no longer now address problems at home because they feel like it's futile. So they start letting things go. You see that something wrong, you let it go for the sake of peace. You let it go, you let it go, you let it go. This thing compounds into a huge mental situation for you. Now you don't want to be home. You want to be in the streets because it's much more peaceful out there. Kostrate.
Yeah.
Or you no longer out and go have
You are just aggressive.
You are just aggressive.
Even for the smallest things.
For the smallest things, you just become
aggressive.
aggressive.
Yeah, it's a generational thing, I think, though. It's a general. How many times did you see your time able, or just in general, more kasi or komote? Time is always sitting with us alone. What do you think that guy was doing with us? Was avoiding conflicts with them. He will go control or try to say the job or mana or mansigua arts and a monthly comes up like a loud fate out to how he's another tree and hard. Otherwise, we never see we don't have but I'm always waiting. They were always Macarajona Panapara for Sakatar, Holisonta, what are engineer on a Sunday because he can't stay inside the house.
He needs to find something to do to preoccupy him.
Because how the control was why you could really fail? Why could you baby? Why could you and then he looks like baladichu. You know, and those little things just like, but I can't sit here. Salehole 9 pakela, 3 pakela, we haven't eaten. what is this? Then how real whatever. So they'll always find something to, because there are things that they are like little things, say men are very particular about.
Yeah.
Let me show you something about cleanliness. Do you know that if a man lives alone, his house is always clean?
Let me tell you a story.
Like if a man lives alone, his house is always clean. Let me allow you to tell this story.
So a few years ago, I'm trying to court this lady, beautiful lady. I was still living alone, by the way. So I invite her to my house. Now she comes, we chill. You know, she checks out my house. She goes to the bedroom, checks out my house. We sit there. Nice. And then I take her home. But we keep talking. Tabaka ya materialize.
And what was the reason?
No, I kept asking, like, why? And she couldn't really give me
a solid answer. Yeah.
So 3-4 years later, she says to me, actually, the reason why I never got with you, I thought you were gay.
And what was the reason?
She's like,
you were gay?
1, I've never seen you with a woman. 2, I went to your house, it was too clean, you were sleeping in white sheets, your shoes were arranged properly, your kitchen was just too clean, it looked suspicious.
Looks like there's a woman. It looks like there's a woman. Now, when we grew up as boys, we were told our rooms do like when you grow up as a man, you must start correcting these things. And when you correct them, it's either you look homosexual or you look like you have a woman. You understand? And the reason you fight a lot, it's because you know that you are capable of keeping your house clean, but it's not clean because it's kept clean on somebody else's schedule, not yours. Yeah. Now because it kept,
and you cannot impede in that. Like you cannot overstay.
You cannot interfere. You cannot interfere. How so? The other floor, generally 5 o'clock, 5:30.
Yeah.
You understand? How so hard and the kitchen is dead. It's going to bother you for the coming 3 hours when people are still sleeping. Now you have to wake them up. Now you realize why Bakala society.
Because you can't clean it yourself. If you clean it yourself, you are in trouble. When she wakes up, she's going to ask you, what are you doing in my kitchen?
And even if you clean it yourself,
exactly.
You understand? Or everything. Also, you can't be waking up because cleaning clothes, then you go to Merikong and then and then go away and you come back. Because when you come back, also the kitchen you can't just now minute the hemp and then get to the kitchen. You understand? Somebody will say it's easier, hire a nanny. How many nannies mostly because I'll tell you, anyone who's watching here as a man or as a child, Montlu, or your mom cleans.
Yeah.
She cleans.
She does
it. You're like, but the nanny is coming. Why are we paying the nanny? Because they believe they can clean their own houses. And if the nanny because nanny has
well, she wasn't doing that at that time.
The whole time she wasn't. Yeah.
You know, in one of your posts or your videos on TikTok, you made a statement. Actually, you were congratulating or giving compliments to women with kids. At no point you said single mothers. You said, bomme ba ba nang le bana, 2, 3. Why le ba ntle thata yana? Le ba ntle hore
le dirang lona.
le dirang lona. And your comment section was flooded with women responding, gore bana ba rapele monna, ba ba ntle because a ba rapele monna. Ba ba ntle because a ba na stress sa banna. The other one went as far as, how many kids did she say? 3, 4 kids?
4, I think she. What did she say? So I don't remember.
She said that she's very happy with her 3 kids or 4 kids. Has stress because her na stress sa monna.
I think that one had 5 kids.
That, yeah, it's 5 kids.
5 kids. That one had 5 kids.
Like, every one of these women were agreeing, were practically just posting the same comment in just different contexts.
80% of the comment actually was Harapele Bo baby date. We move.
And I have this tendency of going into people's profiles and checking like what kind of people are they,
What
how
kind of
old are they, and the majority of those women were above 35. They were 35 going up 40, 45. What do you think is wrong?